how they kind of act in their behavior. So even though me and my wife laugh that, man, Lord knew we couldn't handle both of them. How would we be able to deal with both of them? Pastor Fisher, if you would like to, if we understand totally, if you're not, but we're just wanted to honor moms, take a moment to honor moms on this Mother's Day weekend and think about our moms and what they mean to us. And if you or anyone else out there would
Oh,
like to share, please.
yeah, I'm just happy to say, these the child mother relationship they're very complicated. It could be very complicated. My mother and I had a complicated relationship at times, and then uh, uh, but we also, she was young, very very young when she had me. She was 18, and there were always, she was growing up, and I was her child. My mother was amazing, though, in that, and I write about this in my book. Uh, I was telling, she was the person, and that told me about initiative. It was the one word in my lifetime that kind of stayed with me, having initiative. She used to say stuff like, get out of the house, go read a book. She was the person that really told me, read a book, write a book even. Initiative was her thing. And she was real concerned for me. She didn't want me to be soft. She didn't use the word soft. She used to say, sorry, man.
Mm,
I don't want you to grow up being no sorry man. And so that, for me, became a, a mantra, to, your parents have such a strong influence over you, but it became a mantra for me to push. My mother always reminded me that we were African American people were slaves. I mean, it was something that's, we talked about regularly. She said, we are descendants of slaves. And she said it was a disadvantage, and that I was going to have to overcome that. Um, and so she was very practical. I think she was trying to get in everything she could. She was trying to say everything she could say, uh, to get my attention, to help me as a man, because it was just no man around. My dad was down the freeway, and so and their relationship wasn't the best. They didn't stay married long. So my mom was just really great for preparing me for the world. That was really, I think, a role that she she reveled in, is trying to prepare me, to what was out there. And like you, um, my mother, I have siblings, but they are half siblings, and so they had their own mother. I knew my stepmother, and my dad at the time when they were married. That was kind of the when I was a kid, I went over and spent time with them, and that was kind of the most of the modeling of mother and father I had seen, and seeing my father in that role. Um, and but one great thing happened right before my mother passed in January this year, on the second, and right when I finished the book, I had a chance to go over my book. This is my first book, so it was special. I had a chance to go over, take the book to her, take a version of it and show it to her, and show her on the screen that I had dedicated the book to her. So that was a great memory for me, and she was really emotionally moved by that. Very, very moved by that seeing the book, that it was written and dedicated to her. I think
wow.
God let me do that, and I'm grateful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly. Certainly, I believe the Lord works just like that. thinking back and listening to you, the Lord, my last conversation with my mom, we were able to reconcile, if you will, make some peace. And I apologize to my mom if I had ever offended her or been a disobedient son, and she apologized to me, and we just had such a loving conversation. And I think about so many people that don't get that opportunity, that maybe them and their parent were at odds, and yet the Lord gave me an opportunity to make peace with my mom, and I am so grateful for that. I don't know what kind of mess I'd be if I had never got the chance to tell my mama I loved her or apologize, for anything that I had ever done. And if I was to ask what whatever between us, any kind of contention, I don't think I could really point a finger to it. Just the enemy getting in, and then being the child of two divorced people, that tug of war,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So
I think President Riddick has an update for us here. He had a picture of a plant on the screen.
yeah,
Yeah, this I'm in my backyard. Pastor Fisher, this is the plant that your mother gave me before she passed away.
Oh.
It was almost there was almost nothing to it. She knew that I love plants, and she had a name for this plant, and I don't remember what she named it. She had a name for all
Oh
of her
my
plants,
goodness. Oh,
but
she had names for all of them. Yeah.
she gave me this plant, and man, it just took off. It's a gorgeous succulent. It's burgundy in color, and I come back here
Oh
and
my, my,
take
my,
care of it,
my.
and
That was
think
a
about your mom,
surprise.
man.
That was a surprise to me. You know
Hallelujah.
that a little bit of mom is living on.
Hallelujah. Yes,
My goodness.
indeed. So
My
I
goodness.
thank God for you, but for your mom. She and I, we talked about a lot of stuff. We have a lot of things in common, especially these plants.
Yeah, yeah,
And
nice.
she
Very
loved to
nice.
talk about you and her grandchildren.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
all
Yeah.
right, yeah. Pastor Fisher, do you have a most memorable Mother's Day? Maybe that you and mom did something. Uh,
Um, let me see here. Well, as a kid, I was not in a position to buy things, and I had saved some money one time, and I know her. I was like about 8, and I bought her a ring,
hmm,
and I went to Discount Mart on Cutting, and bought her a ring. There used to be a store called Discount Mart
yeah.
in Richmond, California, on um, I'd say around 52nd Street or something. Well, San Pablo. I'd say San Pablo's across the street. And I bought her a ring, and I took it to her. She didn't like it. and the funny thing about it was that later, I learned she's very blunt about gifts. But I didn't know it as an 8-year-old. And the reason I bought her a ring is because I wanted her to get married. But I didn't know what that. I don't know how I equated getting her a ring with her getting her married.
Wow,
But I equated those two things.
that's awesome.
If I got her a Mother's Day ring, she would get married. I don't know how I've equated those two things. But that's a kid's mind, huh? A kid's mind is a kid's. I mean, I used to believe in the what's that guy? They used to have some tennis shoes called PF Flyers, and my
Mm-hmm.
mother said this is a great Ruthie Patterson story. My mother bought. I walked into the store at the El Cerrito Plaza, and we got some tennis shoes. In those days, El Cerrito Plaza had these breezeways between the main store, Capwell's, and so and the tennis shoe store was one of the smaller shops in that breezeway. And she bought the shoes. The man said, "Do you want to wear them out?" I said, "Yes." I put the shoes on. Now, in those days, the tennis shoes came with a whistle. And if you, on the TV commercial, if you blow the whistle, the PF Flyer man would come out of the sky and do something, or point at your shoes, or set them on fire, something, blow them up, make them do something amazing. My mother was in the store. I kept looking back in the store because I ran out into the breezeway and I started blowing that whistle. And I was like, I hope she finished. I hope it take a long time for her to finish paying for that thing, because I got to give the PF Flyer man a chance to get here. I blew and blew that whistle with my shoes on, looking up in the sky. My mother, she walks out. I'm like, oh, she getting ready to come out. We gonna miss the PF Flyer man. I said, Mom, I said, Mama, please just give a man a chance to come. Just give him a chance. He gonna come. She said, fool, come on. Get in the car. So we get in the car. I done got in the back seat. I done turn around. We leaving the plaza. Our car is leaving the plaza. I'm in the back seat looking back this way. And I'm looking for the PF Flyer man to come, because I said, Mama, you might have to turn around. Yeah, she was she was a realist for me. So
Right on, Pastor. Thank you for sharing. It sounds like we all have had wonderful, wonderful mothers, and great relationships with our mothers. And I think, you know, sons and their mamas, man, it's just a very, very unique relationship. And even, even in these Friday night talks, no matter what we talk about, we're always still going to point people to Jesus. And you look at the relationship that Jesus, had with his mother. It was a very, very unique and special relationship that he had with his mothers. And he saw fit that when he made us, when he made, mankind, to give us mothers. And man, he just knew that children needed and need and still need their mothers. And just so grateful. I was telling my wife last night, I went and picked up some Chinese food on my way in, and there was a mother with her, like maybe she had like 4 kids. Don't know what the circumstances. Don't know that where the dad was, but she was trying to manage these 4 young kids, and they were just being kids. And boy, she gave them a tongue lashing like she was talking to an adult. And I felt bad for the kids.
Yeah.
I felt bad for her, because she's probably frustrated dealing with whatever, she's had to deal with. And, but yet, and I was telling my wife about it, and she says, you know what, but maybe that's how her mother may have talked to her and how she's grown up. And you just never know, and not everybody had the kind of mamas like we had.
right. Was she a younger woman though?
Yeah, she was younger. She was probably in her 20s,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
30. And, and just not judging anyone. I don't know the circumstances,
No, I understand. Yeah.
But it was just, I was listening to the way she talked to those children. And I don't think those children deserve that, nor did she need to get so worked up. But it wasn't my place to really, tell her that. I don't know how those kids have been acting all day, or what her day was like. But you think about your mom, and you're like, boy, I remember the times my mom yelled at me. I remember the time she may have used some choice words, but you think back, and you're like, man, I hope those kids are also getting some love too, that they deserve from her. Maybe she's just having a bad day, but certainly a mother's love goes a long way in a young lady's life.
Yeah.
And I think also too in a young man's life. Mamas mean the world to us, even if we may not have had the best relationship, and whether they're here or not. And I think churches are going to be filled more so on Mother's Day than on Father's Day. And our pastor, our president, always makes the joke that he makes the joke on Father's Day that there's no need to leave church early because you can sit anywhere in the restaurant you want on Father's Day. But Mother's Day, you might needed to make reservations weeks ago, to take Mama out. So just shows how we do honor and reverence our mothers and how motherhood is looked at. So yeah, I'm certainly thankful for mothers and just this. We're gonna wrap up here, but just certainly thankful for motherhood in general, and promising. And there's some good mothers out there. There's still some good mothers out there, in spite of what they have to deal with as women, as wives. And I think as I'm growing in my as an adult, as a Christian, I'm starting to look at motherhood a little bit differently. There's some people I know, coworkers that young ladies that are younger than me, and they're not married, and they're getting ready to have children, and my heart kind of breaks for them, because I wish that they would, I do wish that they had a husband and they're getting ready to be mothers, and I want them. I know they're going to be good mothers, but I also want them to be loved by a husband, as it should. So, and that would probably help them to be better mothers if they had a husband. And I'm starting to kind of grow in that. Just kind of feel a soft spot for that, where I don't think I kind of looked or really looked at it or cared about it as much. If that makes sense, especially in church. So yeah. Pastor Fisher, you got it. Do you preach a special Mother's Day sermon on Mother's Day?
I do. I have something. Yeah, definitely. I think that the modern mother is challenged in ways. I mean, really challenged in ways that are different than the mothers we grew up with. There is, and it's unsettling in that the kind of models and role models who are around for younger women. I don't know that, the advice we take, so much of the advice we seek, we actually look on our phones for. We type questions, and then we look on our phones for that advice. And that advice used to happen in the kitchen. It used to happen at church. It used to happen in the bedroom between, come in my room, I want to talk to you. There were places where families gave advice, and I don't know that is what happens today. And young women are really, really challenged. There's so many cultural items out in the social world, because social media is really a community, and that community enforces its own rules and ideas on these children who are trying to matriculate into responsible adults. And I don't know, do parents still say the goal is to get yourself a good job, to go to college and get yourself a job? I know that when we were kids, if you even went to someone else's house, they would always ask you, how you doing in school? Because there was a vision in the community, in the African American community, and a hope that everybody was on the same page. Your mother was on the same page. And when a mother, and when I was growing up, and I know I don't want to romanticize this, when I was growing up, if there was a household where there was a mother and father, they had their mom's back. They had that single mom's back, in that, I'm watching him. He can come with us. He can go fishing with the Lyons family. I knew there was a Lyons family, and I would attach with them sometimes, mother and father intact. And so I actually got to see kind of what it looks like, along with my father and his wife. And so those examples, and the goal, what are children being told? They go to school. Well, that wears out quickly if you don't have like a goal in mind. College being the next step. And I don't know what people were saying today. I have no idea what. And if you have a child, your mom, how do you convince your child that that going to the NBA or becoming a famous rapper or something, or what skills do mothers have today? Isn't that such, we had, our mothers people were realistic, now listen, baby, I see y'all trying to, because I had a little band and we was rehearsing in my grandmother's back room back there, and it was like, yeah, that's good, but get your education first.
Mm-hmm.
And then they say, have something to fall back on, and rather than crush your dream, who's advising, that's a great thing. And I know these wonderful young mothers have good instincts, but also, knowing kind of the left and the right.
Yeah, great point. And I think that's a great question. Who's advising? And I think there's still good grandmothers out there. Think there's still some great aunts out there that are still influencing and that are still pouring into their nieces and into their granddaughters, the right way, regardless of what the news and regardless of what social media says. Now, there is a big, as you like, as community social group that portrays mothers in a certain way, and I think we definitely have to be careful about that. I know even when I'm refereeing, right now it's softball season, so it's girls softball and they're high schoolers, and I'm looking at 18, 9 girls on the field, 18 on both teams, and I'm like, man, they're going to be somebody's mama one day.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And I just, I find myself on the field praying for them,
Mm-hmm.
because at some point they're going to be somebody's mom. Somebody's going to call them mom. Somebody's going to beg and cry out for them. And they're, whether that's planned or whether that's some kind of, maybe alternate route in their life that they didn't expect. And I think that's a very good point. And I think that motherhood, sisterhood, we definitely still need mentors, and we do have them. And I think we, as brothers, can definitely step up and do our part into whether the relationship works out or not, to still, do our part and helping our brothers to love, love their wives as Christ loves the church, and to help brothers to take the lead to first make to get a wife and then start a family. But yes, and I also too, I still think that pushing, at least as far as what I see in my household, and I'm not as young, I'm not in my 20s, I'm more closer to 50 than I am to 30. So as far as in the household of what people are being taught and told, for them to go to school or pursue whatever it is your goals are, and to yeah. I think it's still there. I think it's still there. I think it's still there, and in a Christian home, I think I see grandmothers still praying for on our prayer line at church. I hear grandmothers praying for their granddaughters, praying for their grandchildren, period. So there is a remnant, if you will, if you allow me to use that term, remnant of grandmothers. And if I see it in just our small, community of the church I attend, and if I see these few grandmothers, and I know that there are other grandmothers in other congregations,
Yeah,
for their grandbabies, and mothers also too. So I see it, and I don't think it's totally dead. I don't care what the news media says. and or what social media says, man, there's some praying mamas out there. And there's some praying grandmothers out there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any in your at Galilee? Any older women that do you kind of find that as prayer requests from grandmothers? Hey, pastor, pray for my granddaughter or my grandbaby.
Oh
They do
yeah.
that all the
Well,
time.
we actually try to match mothers in the church with the younger women in the congregation. So, especially if there's a single mom or something, we actually match them. This is the person you call, get some advice. That's something said over the pulpit. It's not a full policy where we haven't, but it's said, and the numbers of the mothers hear it, the young women hear it, and I say, hey, contact one of these mothers, talk to them, get some advice. They're right here for you. And I just want to say something to women who might have didn't biologically have a child, but have that mother's wit, that those skills that come with just being a woman who has lived a long time and has assisted and been in raising children, or maybe their nephews, or I know a number of mothers who didn't biologically give birth, but boy, they might as well, because they had to rescue their nieces, their nephews, uh, uh, people. They became that they took on they married someone, and then their husband had children, and they were able to facilitate raising with that husband in partnership. So you got to take your hat off to those folks as well. And they are people. These are women with good advice. We tend to think of just only because there was a birth that woman is the de facto person to expect good advice from, or motherly advice. So, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think there's well, and I don't know if there's, and correct me if I'm wrong with the scriptures, um, to women that have taken on that responsibility, and it's not their biological child. You think there may be an extra reward for them in heaven? And I don't know offhand if there is a scripture that validates that, or it may not be, but just you know that does that kind of
I,
puts
I
it.
mean, I don't see a direct verse or anything. Only that we know that the even James talks about the fatherless and the widows, and whether it's motherless or fatherless. I think any of that Matthew chapter 25 sheep and goat illustration, where we who are the sheep seek the restoration of people in our own Christian community who have had some sort of loss. And I mean, they give the example of jail and people who are hungry and sick, but wherever that exists in your heart, where you can feel compassion, and yes, I think that the Lord's favor and designation as sheep. I think it happens with people and women who can love, in a situation and a circumstance that they inherit. You know, in the same way men do. I was a man that married a woman. That had a child. So, it's a powerful thing when you can do that and bring children into who are not biologically yours, and love like that.
Absolutely. And I think too, that's why, like we were talking the other day, me and you are talking about, the importance of being in church, and I think that those that of us that have lost a loved one, whether it be a brother, whether it be a parent, whether it be even a child, that being in not just a part of the body of Christ, but being in a local assembly, that we can find and feel that void, and God can give us another child to love. He can give us another
Oh yeah.
woman to love. He can
Oh
give us
yeah.
another, sibling. But when we kind of stay away from that, and not that anyone is going to take anybody's place, and in that regard, but still that, you know, just when Jesus was on the cross, he knew that his mother still needed to love a son, and that this son needed a mother's love, and he still took care of his mother, and he took care of his disciple. And I think that by coming to church and being a part of a local assembly, we are in the family of God, and we are in the family of that local assembly, and God will give us someone to love, and it'll be just like that open pipe. We're pouring love out, and love is being poured into us, and it just keeps going and going. But when we stay away and we're not a part of a local assembly, then we're kind of out there, estranged from a local family, and and I kind of feel for that, and I pray that people who are missing that family connection, that they would, come into the local assembly, and that they can find that mother to love, or mothers to love, and those mothers can find a child, to love on also, and yet and still keep those biological children and those biological parents, still hold them in high regards as we have, as we do.
There was an additional thing I wanted to say about what happens at Galilee. We try to make Mother's Day a destination for the church on Mother's Day. We promote it as a destination, and we tell mothers, tell your child, is what you really want Mom, do you really want another scarf or dinner, or would you like to see your child in church? So for the mothers for the mothers whose all of their children are not in church, make it a destination on Mother's Day, and tell them that this is the one Sunday I want you sitting right here next to me. So,
That's beautiful.
As a destination. So it's a beautiful thing when we can sit in church with our mother. Some folks would love to have one more time to sit through a worship with their mother.
Yes.
Yeah, I went out and held my adopted mother's hand the other day. We just sat and watched TV and held hands. That feeling of being a son again. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that is beautiful, man. That's touching too, and thank God for that, man. And only God can do that. Only God puts people in our lives, and us in their lives, to have that kind of bond, and that kind of and those kinds of relationships. And do you find that Mother's Day is probably one of the most highest days where you get a lot of visitors at Galilee? People coming with their mother. Do you see that?
It's up there with the days. It's up there as for sure. We have some other good days too, but it is among the better days of the church worship calendar, on the church worship calendar. Yes,
Okay.
it is, and we're doing breakfast for the mothers after our service, and the men cook. And last year we missed it. We just we didn't get coordinated, and boy did we got an earful from the mothers, and so we are highly coordinated. We coordinated like the CIA. We got it together here. That was such a lesson last year, and in loving fashion, the women cooked for the men on Father's Day, and the men missed out on Mother's Day. I told them, I said, if it's the last thing I do as the pastor of the Galilee Missionary Baptist Church of San Francisco, it's gonna be a Mother's Day extravaganza breakfast. So. I got right in the middle of the plans, so to make sure no ball got dropped, I said, y'all need me to go pick the eggs? I did today. I said, do I need to go get all those eggs and bacon? All the brothers let me know they took care of it. Ladies are taken care of, and if you're in San Francisco, come to the Galilee Missionary Baptist Church of San Francisco on this Mother's Day, and you will be fed well.
Both ways, spiritually and physically.
Yes,
indeed.
Yes.
Indeed. Well, thank you, Pastor Fisher, for sharing. Thank you for those that chimed in. Thank you for our president for chiming in. I had talked to our president earlier this week, and and I know that he wanted to wait to be an actual guest on the show, but he was still a guest on tonight. And so we thank him for sharing in the story of his wonderful mother. And we thank God for Mother's Day, man. And in spite of, and we're praying for you, Pastor Fisher, praying for you, Pastor Reddick, and President Reddick, and praying for me as well. Just reminiscing and going down memory lane and thinking about our mothers, and yet and still, uh, even though mother is gone, I still got a couple mothers I need to make sure I acknowledge on Sunday. I bet not come to church empty-handed on Sunday, and not only just our biological mothers. You know what? I was blessed with a really good mother-in-law. The Lord has really blessed me with two good mother-in-laws, and you have to figure that one out, how I got two mother-in-laws. But uh, the Lord has really blessed me with my mother-in-law. I love my mom's, my wife's biological mother, and then also my wife's dad's wife. I love them dearly, and they just do so much for me, and I love them, and they really mean a lot to me. I love how they have raised and brought up my wife, and she is who she is because of her mom, and I see how she loves her mom, and I encourage her in that. So I was really blessed too with a great, and it still am blessed with a mother-in-law that loves me and that shines bright in my life. So I'm really really thankful for my mother-in-laws, and I believe you brothers probably can say the same too about you all's mother-in-law. So um, thankful in that regard. So thankful. So it is after 8. Don't want to hold anyone long tonight. Pastor Fisher, thank you for coming on. Thank you for see my wife is on, and our president is on, and just want to encourage everyone to go to the Easy to Get to Church website and check out what we have there on our events page, and check out the sermon of the National Sermon of the Week, and encourage somebody else to go on the Easy to Get to Church website where they can find the National Sermon of the Week. I believe it's going to change tomorrow from last week. And so it changes week to week every Saturday. What, Pastor Fisher, somewhere around noon? Is it somewhere around noon? I believe it might change. And so there'll be a new sermon every single week, National Sermon of the Week. There's also a prayer line where you can leave a prayer request if you have a prayer request, or recommend someone have a prayer request. And then also too, there will be a national Bible study coming up. And then also too, there's also the national song of the week, I believe you can find on there as well. Anything else I'm missing?
Oh yeah, just it's 12. It's around 1 p.m. noon Pacific, so 4 p.m. Eastern. So want to make sure those, if people are listening on the East Coast, they understand that it's 4 p.m. Eastern.
Right on. So on behalf of the Baptist Ministers Conference of Richmond and vicinity, on behalf of our president, Pastor Euless G. Reddick, I'm your host tonight, Friday Night Talks, Reverend Christopher Wade, and my co-host, Pastor Dwayne Fisher of the Galilee Missionary Baptist Church in San Francisco. We'd like to thank you for tuning in to Friday Night Talks, and we'll be with you again next week. And we will be back with you same time, same channel. Thank you. Tell a friend. And Lord willing, we'll see you real soon. God bless you.